What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So right now there's a lot of stuff that we need to discuss. In today's video I want to address the Social Security benefits, and I want to give you an update on that. I'm going to talk about the child tax credit payments and more as well. But the main thing is the issues that we're seeing around not just our country but around the world as well. This is causing a lot of issues and a lot of concern, because as Russia readies to invade Ukraine, stocks are plummeting, oil prices are expected to go sky high, energy is already doubled in price, and right now the American people are just pleading for help. You guys say all the time in the comments, we're not getting the help that we need. We pay our taxes, but yet we aren't being represented. Now currently Congress is extremely focused on one thing. That's the government funding bill. That's their focus. Now, they have reportedly dropped all talks of a filibuster reform. There has been very little discussions of the Build Back Better Act other than the fact that they want to completely change the bill. And now they're obviously being read in on what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. And this is extremely important, and here's why. Right now, everything could pretty much fall off of what happens between Russia and Ukraine. Over the past week, we have been seeing more and more lawmakers discussing bills that are more people-focused. They want to go more citizen-centric. That's their target. From the Build Back Better Act, this would include things like the child tax credit payments, tuition-free community college, universal pre-K, or even paid family sick leave. And that's what many say is where they want to go. These are all people-focused. The problem is, people-focused does not mean it's going to help with inflation or our national deficit. Those are two things that Senator Joe Manchin is adamant about fixing. Now, with the current situation in Russia and Ukraine, many are actually pushing to see more for the American people. The White House and President Biden himself have both stated that they are taking active measures to assist the American people in the event that energy prices increase dramatically over the Russian invasion, which, again, it's not a certainty, but it is very likely. Now, honestly, I'm not exactly sure what President Biden and the White House are actually doing. I've not seen any big changes, but if I see any changes, and I promise I will keep an eye out for that, I will update you on what is actually going on. Now, I want to address a report that came out today regarding Social Security. And then I want to address the child tax credit payments, because these are two things that are getting a lot of discussions. And here's the reason why. First, we'll start with Social Security. Over the past year, many lawmakers have actually discussed providing more for people on Social Security, more for people on a fixed income. That is the key word. Not Social Security, it's people on a fixed income that are usually lower income earners. Now, this was seen as a huge move because those with fixed incomes were getting hurt by rising costs. Their income didn't change. Their income stayed the same, or they actually received less benefits because over the past couple of months, we have seen the Social Security cost of living adjustment increase of 5.9%. Boost people up, but that boost lowered other benefits. So it hurt many people in the long run. But there hasn't been much movement on the one bill that's out there for Social Security. That's the Social Security 2100 Act, a sacred trust. Now, I discussed this bill multiple times. I discussed this bill just a few days ago as well. But I just want to say that after the report that came out today, the discussions on Social Security could change, because the report today indicates that Social Security's cash reserves have actually taken a huge dip. For the first time since 1982, Social Security's investments have lost more money than they have actually brought in. Now, this is in combination of baby boomers retiring in masses, the global pandemic, a wave of resignations which ultimately limit the tax revenue which is normally brought in. But in 1982, the Social Security cash reserves, they sat at $25 billion. In 2020, Social Security's assets increased to $3 trillion. And now, the Board of Trustees, they are predicting that cash reserves will quickly whittle down to just $1.35 trillion by 2030. That's in 8 years. Now, the reason I bring this up is because that's not good news. No. That's horrible news. So if you are looking at Social Security as that's going to be your safety blanket, that's going to help you live and retire when you finally do, just understand it may not be there. We may not see much from it. But this demise of Social Security could ultimately get lawmakers talking about it once again. So this could be seen as a positive sign, but here's the other problem. Okay? Such a huge dip in the cash reserves that we are seeing right now, we could also see Social Security get tighter. We could see any extension to Social Security, any increase in benefits could be completely halted, which as of right now, expanding Social Security, right, expanding Medicare, expanding these government programs was seen as one of the things that Democrats wanted to do when President Biden became elected. Well, it doesn't look like that's possible at this time. And this is just reiterating the fact that President Biden, he doesn't have the ability and he will not have the support within Congress to provide a $200 per month boost like he once promised. So, I can tell you right now that this news isn't great because it does show that Social Security is actually lacking, but at the same time, this could be the news that we need to see lawmakers finally discuss the program. But again, it comes back to the one thing that President Biden has said all along, is anybody making less than $400,000 per year would not pay a penny more in taxes. And at this time, that promise would have to go bye-bye if we see something like this pass. So we'll see. Now, let's address the issues revolving around the child tax credit payments as well, because here's what we know. Many Democrats are currently saying that the American people aren't really suffering due to the Build Back Better Act not passing. They are suffering because one of the provisions within the bill was actually implemented last year. That is the child tax credit payments. Those expired, which meant they were passed last year. They were implemented for 6 months. It created a lot of positivity because children were pulled out of poverty, which is great. Families were pulled out and lifted out of poverty for a full 6 months. But then we get reports just a week ago that the Center on Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia University, they said that child poverty rose by 41% from December 2021 to January 2022. This means that these 3.7 million children are now struggling. This means their nutrition is likely to worsen. Now, a few social policy experts say that Democrats had a short-term victory, but they quickly let that slip away. This loss to millions of families is more than what many people know. They say this means less food, a higher chance of becoming homeless, and more of a reason for children not to attend school. Now, some childhood experts say that if lawmakers truly believe that children are our future and we need to provide for our children, then passing the child tax credit payments for multiple years, not just one, would be a high priority. However, it's not at this time. And I want to explain why. Right now, according to multiple lawmakers, both Republican and Democratic, they say that inflation must be our number one priority right now. Everything that we do must tackle inflation. Everything that we do must bring inflation down. Everything right now is costing too much money. The American people are not making enough. And if we see a wage price spiral, which means wages increase, which usually means prices of products increase. And if this happens and it goes too high, then wages will have to increase as well. Products will follow up and they will keep going and going and going. And we will see an endless spiral. Something major would have to change. So according to lawmakers, right now, inflation is the number one priority, nothing else. So what I can tell you is, and I didn't want to touch on Russia and Ukraine too much in today's video, mainly because that looks like it's coming. Okay, so tomorrow I promise I will most likely touch on that because we're probably going to have more updates. But right now, the big story is, what's going to happen with Social Security, what's going to happen with the child tax credit payments, where are our lawmakers actually going? Are we going to see something ultimately pass? Some form of stimulus? Maybe. But again, stimulus would be very, very targeted. So just keep that in mind as I bring you more and more updates, because if you think we're going to see a $1,200 or $2,000 stimulus check to every single American, chances are you're going to be highly disappointed, because that is most likely never to come. All right? So I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.